The story continues with a clip of Sechiel's attack, initially showing how normal weapons prove ineffective against the angel well before the Evangelion is deployed. Recorded statements by Misato and an excerpt from an essay by Toji Suzuhara, whose sister was hurt in the battle, are included in it. Subsequently, the story then unfolds with the attack of the angel Shamshell, along with part of an entry from Hikari Horeki's diary. Shamshell's attack ends with a statement that a final report on the analysis of the angel's body has yet to be filed. Moreover, Gagiel's attack is notable in deviating from the scenario envisioned by CLE. However, the committee decides that the results were within the projected parameters and that necessary adjustments could be made. Israfel's attack, followed by Sandalphon's attempted capture, Matarel's and Sahaquiel's attacks all follow in sequence. As for Arul's invasion, the facts are listed as unconfirmed, although it is rumored that the angel penetrated NERV headquarters. However, the meeting ends with Lawrence leaving all matters of crime and responsibility to Gendo and adding that he does not need to create a new scenario.
No fucking fighting!
Later, Rie Ayanami narrates a poem contemplating the nature of her own existence and asking questions about herself and about human beings. After the poem, Rie takes part in a cross-compatibility test with Unit 01, in which her sync ratio is reported to be almost the same as with Unit 00. However, the second part of the test, Shinji's sync with Unit 00, goes bad. Later, Fuyatsuki and Gendo discuss the committee, the 11th Angel's invasion, and Unit 00's Berserk incident, culminating in Rie being seen back in Unit 00, carrying the Spear of Longinus. In the following events, Gendo and Fuyatsuki embark on a helicopter ride, flying over the second and third Ashi Lakes. During this journey, Fuyatsuki tells Gendo that Chairman Keel is impatient over delays in the Human Instrumentality project. In the following days, Keiji goes on to investigating a seemingly long-abandoned building. Thereupon, the woman outside the door is feeding a group of cats. She tells him that the company he is investigating, Shannon Bio, is one of 108 subsidiaries of the Marduk Institute. It is the 107th to prove to be a fake. She proceeds to show him a list of the board of directors, which includes Gendo, Fuyatsuki, and Keel. Back at NER of the HQ, Misato and Ritsuko discuss the wedding they will be attending the next day. Meanwhile, the pilots are having a sync test. Afterwards, in the elevator, Shinji, who is visiting his mother's grave with his father the next day, asks Rie what his father is like, but she doesn't know the answer.
I don't know.
The next day, Kaji arrives late at the wedding. Misato reacts by complaining that he hasn't shaved and straightens his tie, prompting Ritsuko to comment that they are acting like a married couple. Back home, Shinji is practicing the cello when Asuka, who has dumped her date, arrives and applauds. Shinji, however, says he's been practicing since age 5 and hasn't improved. The only reason he still plays is no one ever told him to stop. Later, Misato confirms that she lied about breaking up with Shinji. Shortly after, at Misato's apartment, Asuka and Shinji share a kiss together. Later on, Kaji tells Misato that Gendo and Ritsuko have been keeping secrets from her. Moreover, he even confirms that the legless giant hanging from a cross is indeed Adam. In the following days, the three pilots undergo a sync test in which Shinji emerges the best synchronized pilot, a fact that greatly annoys and disturbs Asuka and causes her to leave fuming. Later on, a bizarre shadow emerges from the street in the city. Seemingly out of nowhere, it turns out to be a new and extremely bizarre angel, Leliel, who appears in the sky over Tokyo 3 in apparently a black and white sphere. All three Evangelions move in to attack, but Shinji's attack is useless, and he in Unit 01 is absorbed into a growing shadow that has engulfed the city. Ritsuko determines that Leliel exists on a higher dimension of existence, which can only be explained by mathematical concepts. The shadow on the ground, described as being 600 meters wide but only 3 nanometers thick, is the actual body of the angel, and the sphere in the sky is his true shadow. Fearing that Unit 01 has been completely lost, NERV prepares to drop all of its remaining N2 bombs into the Angel, hoping that this will destroy Leliel, even though it could easily kill Shinji as well. While trapped in Leliel, Shinji goes on an introspective mental journey. As the battery power completely drains and life support runs out in Unit 01, Shinji falls unconscious, and a pair of glowing arms reach out to embrace him. Outside Leliel, Misato and Ritsuko witness Unit 01 violently tear its way out of Leliel's shadow, thereby killing it. Shinji is recovered from the Angel and wakes up in the hospital with Rie at his side, where she had spent the night with him. Shortly after, Shinji notices that his mouth smells of blood. As the Human Instrumentality Committee begins interrogating Misato about the incident with the 12th Angel, the committee seriously considers the possibility that the Angel was trying to communicate with mankind and took the EVA for that purpose, but Misato, acting as a proxy for a mentally disturbed Shinji, is incapable of conclusively answering what happened. Meanwhile, Toji is seen in the hospital, and some of the hospital staff chat with themselves about how caring he is as a brother and how nice he is to take care of his injured sister. A while later, an orbital view of post-Second Impact America appears, with a small red dot spreading across the continent. Absolute panic ensues in the bridge since NERV's second branch in Nevada has completely vanished. Later, on the escalator, Ritsuko informs Misato that the US government is sending over Evangelion Unit 03 to them from the United States to prevent First Branch from being lost as well. Ritsuko says that the errors in the dummy system make it risky to use for the first activation of Unit 03, but there is a candidate for whom a core can be readied immediately.
Okay.
The next day, Toji is called away at lunchtime to see the principal. Inside, Ritsuko is heard greeting him, and he does not reappear until long after lunchtime and seems oddly preoccupied. Kensu talks with Shinji, telling him about Unit 03's arrival to Matsushiro and Unit 04's loss, and seems somewhat annoyed that Shinji, as an EVA pilot, does not know. Later, Shinji and Kaji go out and discuss matters of life with each other. Hikari then cooks a meal for Toji, and a strangely happy Toji is shooting hoops. Now the transport aircraft carries the Evangelion Unit 03 crew flying through a formation of cumulonimbus clouds. A brief but massive spark of electricity is shown as the EVA enters the clouds. Misato leaves for NERV's second test facility at Matsushiro. Both Toji and Misato are waiting due to a delay in transporting the EVA to Japan. The delayed flight arrives and the EVA is ready for activation.
Yeah, boy.
The bilingual activation begins normally, but soon goes dangerously wrong. Attempts to cut the power and stop the activation fail, and a high-energy reaction is detected inside the EVA. The 13th angel, Bardiel, reveals itself, and the angel-infected EVA roars as it sets off a huge explosion. Mirror Headquarters is alerted about the explosion at Matsushiro. Subsequently, an entity with blood-type orange is detected, which is discovered to be infected Unit 03. Unit 03 is designated the 13th Angel and the 3 remaining Evangelion sortie against the infected EVA, with no choice but to fight it with the pilot held hostage. Shinji remains ignorant of the fact that Toji is the pilot of Unit 03. Asuka is about to tell him what she is surprised and incapacitated by the infected EVA. Later, Shinji sees the trapped entry plug and refuses to fight the EVA while the pilot is still inside. The EVA's mutated arms reach out and grab Unit 01 by the neck. Just like that, Unit 01 proceeds to smash in the infected EVA's skull and dismember it, and continues until it crashes the entry plug. Misato is found among the other survivors of the explosion at Matsushiro. Shinji then sees that the pilot, which turns out to be Toji, is still alive. Folks, in the present turn of events, Shinji's world shatters as a friend becomes an unwitting foe in the heart-wrenching dance of Evangelion Unit 03. The episode opens with Shinji infuriated for his father's use of him to destroy the Bardiel-possessed Evangelion Unit 03 using the dummy system on Evangelion Unit 01 and threatening to use the remaining battery limit of Unit 01 to destroy any of the headquarters after he refuses to leave it. The scene then switches to Ritsuko and Misato contemplate the shredded corpse of Evangelion Unit 03 and Asuka and Ria in the hospital. After that, Toji wakes up in the hospital with Shinji next to him and returns to sleep, and has a vision about Ria and Shinji, talking about Gendo's behaviors towards Unit 03's situation. He then wakes up with Hikari next to him and Shinji has gone. Shinji, horrified and emotionally devastated by the battle between Unit 01 and Bardiel and witnessing Toji's near death, as well as Gendo's cold indifference to the situation, quits NERV for a second time. However, as he is leaving Tokyo 3, the angel Zerul appears and easily defeats the other Evangelions. After speaking with Kaji, Shinji returns to NERV just before the angel penetrates NERV headquarters and engages the angel in Unit 01. The angel succeeds in overpowering Unit 01 as its batteries expire and blasts away the Evangelion's chest armor, revealing a core identical to those of the angels. As the angel attacks Unit 01's core, Shinji pleads with the Evangelion to start working again. Unit 01 goes berserk, re-engages and defeats the angel, then tears apart and eats the angel's corpse, absorbing its S2 engine in the process and becoming the first complete Evangelion, supposedly an equal to God. After breaking off its restraints, Unit 01 begins to howl into the night as Gendo and Fuetsuki confirm that Unit 01's awakening is part of Gendo's plan. After Zerul's demise, the Unit 01 is devouring its S2 engine and removing its bindings. This recent turn of events greatly concerns the Human Instrumentality Committee because the Evangelion's absorption of an S2 engine and subsequent transformation into a god diverges greatly from the scenario they envisioned. The committee considered Gendo responsible for what happened and warned him that such case cannot be forgivable.
What?
Then Kaji is seen talking with Gendo and Fuetsuki about Sesidle and their reactions towards Unit 01, and the probability of them to know about Gendo's scenario. At the end of their meeting, Kaji notes that Shinji is still trapped inside the EVA. The third day, Ritsuko plans for a plug salvage for Shinji, since his components still exist inside the Evangelion, by processing to recompose his body and stabilize his soul in it. And finally, on the 30th day, Evangelion Unit 01 is prepared with this salvage equipment. On the 31st day, Shinji's mental trip continues and talks with Rei about the reason of why the others are nice to him, and he answers that it is because he pilots the Evangelion, and he thinks that it is his reason to stay alive and he must win. However, Shinji remains stuck inside the entry plug. Shinji then becomes aware of his mother's sole residence inside the Evangelion and hears the conversation between his father and mother discuss naming him after his birth. Outside the Evangelion, Misato is seen crying and holding Shinji's plug suit, when suddenly, a splash from Evangelion's side with Shinji reborn from its core. Soon afterwards, Misato goes on a drive with Ritsuko and shortly after drops her off. Thereupon, Ritsuko takes a dim view of Misato going to sleep with Kaji straight after Shinji came out of the Evangelion. A recording showing the circumstances leading up to second impact surfaces before them. Ryoji Kaji makes a phone call to Misato and gets her answering machine. He comments that this is his last mission and that his NER of the ID card looks like blood. Elsewhere, Misato has just heard that Fuyutsuki has been abducted and Kaji is a suspect. Because of her relationship with Kaji, she is also under suspicion and is taken into custody. In a flashback to 1999 in Kyoto, working at the university, Fuyutsuki is told about the work of a promising new bioengineering student, Yue Kari, and the two have a meeting, revealing that Yu is also considering a domestic life over her research. Fuyutsuki looks both startled by and interested in this information. Moreover, Japan is now a country of perpetual summer. Later on, Fuyutsuki finds that he has been invited to a UN investigation of the second impact. Gendo is there in Antarctica, much to Fuyutsuki's shock, having apparently left a day before second impact. His surname is now Ikari. In the present day, Misato is being kept in dark isolation and the second impact is officially classified as a meteor impact, but Fuyutsuki knows that SELE and Keel Lorens are involved. Later on in 2005, the first meeting between Misato Katsuragi and Ritsuko Akagi is shown, narrated by Ritsuko. Misato is now her bubbly self. Soon Misato and Kaji get together and Misato spends a week away from classes with him. Moreover, Ritsuko joins Jihern and discovers her mother's affair with Gendo. A young Rie Ayanami is introduced soon after that, being shown headquarters by Gendo Ikari. However, soon in an unexpected scene, Kaji meets an unseen person and is shot dead, leaving Misato break down in tears when she hears about it. In the following days, Asuka and Kaji aboard an aircraft carrier of the UN fleet to take them to Japan. Asuka talks with Kaji about Misato and her own infatuation towards him, which he replies by saying that there are more suitable boyfriends for her in Japan. She rejects the assertion and tries to seduce him to a failure. After being defeated yet again by an angel, Asuka's synchronization ratio continues to drop, affecting her ability to pilot Unit 02. Flashbacks reveal Asuka's tragic childhood, which shaped her current abrasive personality. At the train station, Asuka tries to call Kaji, unknown to her dead, and notices Shinji talking with Ri, leading her to jealousy. Asuka is seen ignoring Shinji and refuses to answer the phone. Asuka's stepmother calls Asuka and both spoke in German. Asuka tells Shinji the truth about her stepmother and gets angry of why she is telling him all that. Later on, unexpectedly, a new angel Ariel appears in Earth's orbit, while outside the range of any Earth-based weaponry, including the Evangelions. Asuka is told that she will be Ri's backup for the confrontation with the angel. Infuriated, she launches herself and confronts Ariel on her own. However, Ariel uses a telepathic attack, which forces Asuka to relive traumatic events from her past, causing such mental distress that Asuka completely loses synchronization and Unit 02 shuts down. Gendo orders Rie to go to Terminal Dogma, retrieve the Spear of Longinus, and use it against the angel. Rie throws the spear at the angel and succeeds in penetrating Ariel's field and destroys it. Shinji then tries to console Asuka, who is once again angered by her defeat, worsened by her hatred of Rie. Amidst shattered synchronizations and the clash of 8 fields, one question resonates. Later, we come across a recording of Kaji telling Misato and Ritsuko that he's sorry. Shinji waits outside Misato's room with pen, not knowing how to help her. Asuka has run away from home and is not coming to school, staying instead with Hikaru and Haraki and playing video games all day. Meanwhile, Stadielle is furious with Gendo over the use of the Spear of Longinus, which is now heading for the moon, and plans to send Gendo another warning to keep him in line. stating that they need someone who knows the truth. Ritsuko receives a telephone call from her grandmother and learns that her cat, which has been in her grandmother's care, has died. Fugatsuki calls, telling him an angel is approaching, and Gendo leaves the meeting. Rie is sent out in Unit 00 with Asuka as her backup. Thereupon, Rie feels the presence of someone else inside the EVA. She sees Armisael take her own form and talk to her. Armisael then attacks Unit 01 through its other end, destroying the pallet rifle. During the fight, there comes a moment when Shinji is in danger and Rie realizes that her desire is to be with Shinji, so she proceeds to contain the angel to save Shinji. However, this heroic act ends up with Rie dead. Shinji is devastated by Rie's death, and Misato attempts to comfort him. The third Rie, meanwhile, is inside her apartment looking for her things. Upon finding her treasured Gendo's glasses, she begins to cry. A young Asuka runs to find her mother after learning she has been chosen to be an Evangelion pilot, only to find that her mother has hanged herself. In the present, a bewildered Asuka learns of Kaji's death from Shinji. Asuka runs away, eventually finding a wrecked house to stay in. She lays in a bathtub, naked and emaciated, lamenting that life is not worth living if she cannot pilot her Evangelion. Meanwhile, Shinji stands before Evangelion Unit 02 wondering where Asuka is and unsure about how to tell her about the truth of Rie's origins. He then goes to the shore of the new lake marking the former site of Tokyo 3. In the subsequent scene, Misato is suspicious of Kaworu and his too convenient arrival after Asuka is rendered unfit for duty. Her suspicion grows when Kaworu's sync ratio with Unit 02 is incredibly high, even though the Evangelion's core had not been reset. Later on, Hyuga gives Misato the information she asked him to steal from Maya. Hyuga has learned that Kaworu has the ability to intentionally manipulate his synchronization rate with the Evangelions. Shortly after, Shinji absently apologizes to Asuka for fighting her Unit 02, and thereupon Kaworu notes that because the Evangelions are born of Adam, humans should see them as abominations. Shinji attempts to attack Kaworu with his progressive knife, but his weapon is blocked by the final angel's AF field. However, at the end, Kaworu ends up defeated. Kaworu then asks Shinji to grant him his final wish, death. Glancing knowingly at Rie standing above them, Kaworu tells Shinji that only one of the angels or humanity can exist on Earth. Later, Misato and Shinji are standing at the lakeside site where Shinji first met Kaworu, where Shinji remains haunted by killing Kaworu. As the ripples of their struggles converge at the lakeside, a chilling question lingers. In a world where alliances are fragile and destinies entwined, who holds the power to shape the final chapter of humanity's fate? Shinji Ikari is tormented by his murder of Kaworu Nagisa, and they ask, why did you kill him? He answers that he had to because he is an angel and their enemy, even though he has the shape of a human, and he had no choice. And he asks everyone for help. He's asked again what he hates and answers it is being hated by father and others. Shinji is asked again about his reason for piloting the Evangelion, and he answers that it is because everyone tells him to do so and for the sake of mankind. Thereafter, the case of Asuka Langley's story begins. Unit 02 is seen submerged with Asuka inside it, saying that she is forced to pilot it. Rie asks her if she fears being alone, and child Asuka says that she pilots for the praise of herself. The case of Rie Ayanami, she asks herself about her identity, and asks the other Rie about who she is, and answers that she is Rie Ayanami as well. Moreover, the Rie with the plug suit says that she is herself and became like that through her interactions with the others around her, and that is what created Rie Ayanami. The case of Misato Katsuragi, Shinji appears to Misato and tells her that he is Shinji Ikari that exists in her mind, and she replies the same. During her case, Misato states that she is always running from the harsh reality. Asuka's second case, Shinji asks her about her wish. She replies that she wants to live by herself and doesn't want to cry, but is still crying, and moreover reveals that she doesn't want her mother to leave her. Thereupon, Shinji discovers that he wished for a world of total destruction in which only he can exist, and that whether he wants to live or die depends on him. As the shadows of their struggles cast long echoes, one question lingers in the air. Can they rewrite their destinies, or are they forever bound to the sins of their pasts? The fear of ceasing to exist, but Shinji Ikari thinks that he might not need to exist because he is unwanted, useless. Misato Katsuragi tells Shinji that what he truly fears is failure. Failure to be loved and of seeing how weak he is. He replies that Misato does the same thing, and she agrees. Some questions are then posed by Rie Ayanami. What are you alive for? Who are you living for? Are you happy being alive? Asuka Langley Sori thinks it is for herself, and she is happy. Misato only wants to do what she enjoys. But Shinji is unsure of all these things. However, Shinji appears to be determined to not run away from these things. The truth is that Shinji has just made himself believe that he's the only one who gets hurt. Later, various images of nature are shown, But Shinji still can't understand where he exists and asks if he is just the sum of items and symbols that others recognize as himself. Meanwhile, the others truly believe that Shinji's heart and mind can truly change his world. Shinji in this white world feels that he is disappearing, and it is because he can't know his own shape without other things to compare it to. However, soon Shinji experiences an alternate reality which resembles a domestic comedy, and everyone has been recast into normal people. Shinji himself is drastically changed into a more typical teenage boy. After seeing this, Shinji realizes that there are alternate possibilities to his current life. Shinji decides that he can learn to love himself, and he wants to be himself and to stay there. Later, on atop a coral reef, Shinji is wished congratulations by the human cast, upon which Shinji smiles while thanking everyone.